These two cases decided together are a window on Australian marriages during the Depression years of the 1890s, and it's not pretty. These were the days of at-fault divorce, where a party applying for divorce had to show grounds for divorce. In these two cases, Mrs. Tulk and Mrs. Hoffmeyer were each applying to divorce their husband due to their husband having deserted them for 3 years. Mrs. Tulk was unsuccessful because even though her husband was a violent drunk who had beaten her repeatedly and run her into financial ruin, then left, there was evidence that he left with the intention of finding work and ultimately returning to provide for her. Despite everything she had endured, she was not entitled to a divorce. Mrs. Hoffmeyer endured no such ill treatment, and her husband was not a drunk, but he struggled to be successful in any employment and went on the road to find work. He went missing for some years, moving from place to place so quickly that she could not stay in touch with him through the mail. Once he had been incommunicado for more than 3 years, she filed her petition and her divorce was granted. You have to feel terribly sorry for Mrs. Tulk. During the case, Justice Cusson clarified the meaning of desertion, but that concept is no longer legally relevant in the modern era of no-fault divorce. He also, more importantly, stated in passing what are the elements of a marriage, and this definition has endured. We're not talking here about the formal meaning of marriage, that is, having the ceremony and the certificate. We're talking about what are the practical elements which allow us to look at a marriage and say that it remains intact. The consortium vitae, or company through life. Justice Cusson said, marital intercourse, the dwelling under the same roof, society and protection, support, recognition in public and in private, correspondence during separation, may be regarded separately as different elements, the presence or absence of which goes to show more or less conclusively that the matrimonial relationship does or does not exist. These factors, together with some additional factors such as combined finances, which reflect the greater economic contribution of modern women, are still the basic factors which tell us whether a marriage or de facto relationship is intact, or whether a separation has occurred.